Okay, today we're talking about MK Ultra 2.0. But in order to understand that, we have to review what MK Ultra is. This is going to be a review for a lot of people, but for a lot of people, it'll be new. I think what I offer commentary, I think, is particularly relevant to what we're seeing today with these mass shootings, which seem to have become more and more a part of American life over the last 30 years. What's going on here? Well, MK Ultra it started in the started directly after World War II, but high-profile assassinations of the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s of political candidates, of peace activists. There certainly fits the profile of MK Ultra. You have to remember that in the 1960s, elites were really worried that the United States was on the verge of a communist revolution. They would have they justified and they did justify just about anything under the guise of fighting communism, including the merger of organized crime with the national security state. So you had all these popular movements, and if you look at like the amount of people that filled the Haight-Ashbury district in San Francisco to see a Grateful Dead concert, you can get an idea of the way it was. And there were people that are now no longer with us that were capable of leading a million-man march on Washington. There were concerns by elites that the hippie movement would merge with the Black Power movement, and the demand for transparency and a change of the American regime that looked imminent. And so MK Ultra went into overdrive. There was Operation Chaos and Operation COINTELPRO. And is there anything new in the world of MK Ultra? Well, yes. The researcher Tom O'Neill discovered the letters of some of the CIA scientists involved in this program, where they bragged how they could make people go insane, that they could insert false memories inside them, that they could make them have temporary amnesia or erase some parts of their memory. A variety of substances were used. The CIA was experimenting with LSD. But of course, the Charles Manson murders are so emblematic of the demonization of the hippie movement. And now it turns out that Charles Manson was managed by the CIA from the word go. These revelations, when they came out in 2019, it didn't really change the culture like it should have. Like, if we receive information tomorrow that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that our ideas about history are just wrong, well, we should go back and adjust all our theories. And this is something that AI, with all the optimism for AI, is something it can't do. It can't adjust past history according to new models and new information that's been released. And the fact that we have Charles Manson at the center of MK Ultra and the center of these other operations just really should make us question more about MK Ultra 2.0 and these mass shootings. Why would the CIA want to do this? And a lot of people tell me here in Ecuador that the mass shootings that happen in the United States are emblematic of American society, that it speaks to something about American society in terms of the security and what it means to live in America. A lot of people tell that to me. And it's true that these mass shootings do tell us a lot about what's going on in American society, but not for the reasons that most people think. So, I'll give you an example. Las Vegas. The Las Vegas concert shooting in 2017. I had just come back to Ecuador. I was teaching in Santo Domingo, Ecuador, and watching it on the news. Up till that point, it was the biggest mass shooting the United States had ever experienced. It was different because Trump supporters were being targeted, a country music concert, and they say, well, the guilty person acted alone. He was just some sick nut, and he had no political or military connections. No connections to anything military or political. Well, I looked up this guy on the internet, and pretty quickly I found that that was just a lie. So why would they lie to us about something like this? And then the whole thing 3 days later just disappeared from the mainstream news. And there's massive censorship on YouTube that was happening. What's going on here? Well, why would the CIA want to create a narrative about mass shootings? And they control the flame. They could just make it go away or keep it up. What's going on here? What do they hope to achieve? Like in the 1960s, they wanted to kill off the political leaders, Martin Luther King Jr., John Lennon, all the way up to the 1980s, Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix, the Kennedy brothers. The list goes on and on. And these patsies that they selected, they were just placed there conveniently while the covert operations carried it out. Just like most of the time with these mass shooters, they're not the ones that did it. They don't even remember the events, like the Batman shooter, Colorado Aurora movie theater. He doesn't even remember what happened. What's going on here? Why would the CIA want to do this? Well, the big reason is to balkanize the society, but also so that people give up their guns. They're wanting to demonize guns and gun owners. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to accept, but that's where the evidence leads us. Now, I don't think all of these mass shootings or public shootings are obviously works of MKUltra 2.0, but some of them absolutely are. And that should make us rethink the entire phenomenon. And moreover, if you're prescribing drugs like serotonin reuptake inhibitor drugs and other related substances on a mass scale, and you know that a percentage of the people that will take those drugs, it'll make them go bananas, and it'll even make them go out and do these homicidal acts. If you know that, and you continue to prescribe these drugs, well, that's also a way to steer history. Think what these drugs like the Prozac and these other ones do to the brain is that the brain doesn't get to recycle. And so it's copies a situation where you're awake for a couple of weeks. Because you're not having those molecules recycled in your brain. And over time, it actually depletes serotonin. But that's why some people will just go berserk because it would be like entering a dream state, a hypnotic state. That's also MKUltra because they are turning these drugs loose. And, this was kept from the media after the Columbine shootings. They didn't reveal that these people were on SSRI drugs. And that was back in the 90s. And that was the first real mass shooting. And if they had revealed that the two boys were on SSRI drugs, well, that could have destroyed the market. So they blame the guns, they don't blame the SSRI drugs, antidepressants. So we're facing MKUltra 2.0. Look, they had children chained up to the basements at the Stanford University in Berkeley, giving them electroshocks, keeping them awake on amphetamines for a week, torturing them with electric shocks, and then making them sleep with barbiturates, and then waking them up again with electroshocks, seeing if they could erase the memory. But now that's what they're doing to the economies worldwide. They're doing economic shock therapy, Iraq year zero. And also the mind control that they would do for these sad individuals and patsies, now they're duplicating that on a mass scale. So there's mass zombification when you have these high profile events that take the world by storm and that change and steer history. There's COVID-19 certainly included, 9/11, many other examples. Oklahoma City bombing in 1995. The real meat, the real substance of what we should be learning from these experiences and these historical events is the utter depravity and utter corruption, utter evilness of the criminal element called the American government. The criminal entity of the American government is so evil and so corrupt and so morally bankrupt that they traffic in drugs from the White House cartel, while pretending to be family values, evangelical Christians, narco trafficking, money laundering. This is a George W. Bush administration. This was the Clinton administration. This was the Reagan administration, the White House cartel. Because before 1980, the narco trafficking was really carried out by the intelligence agencies, the FBI, the CIA, local police departments. What changed in 1980 was that the White House got involved in coordinating the flights, coordinating the money laundering. And we know a lot from court cases, from whistleblowers, from good people in government that became aware of what was going on, even from congressional investigations. I can't change the reality just because it's uncomfortable. And in Ecuador, in Machala, where they clean the sewage water before throwing it out to the bay. They treat the water, they clean it as best they can, and then they send it out. So they don't want to send dirty water out into the bay. They're thinking about tomorrow. But what do we do in the United States and in crazy California, where I'm from? They recycle the sewage water. They claim that they clean it, but lab tests show a different story. So how gross is that? Okay. So with the gift of gab from the City of Truth, I'm quoting Kid Rock there. Give credit where credit is due. Keep thinking, stay active, and question more.